We know who Ruby is, right? Well, at least I hope you do if you're watching this, because if you don't, why are you here? Ruby is shown to be a very lighthearted, upbeat character. She just wants to help people and save the world. She is, if we exclude Nora, the happiest character in the show. But would she really still be that way in Volume 4? I highly doubt it. Now let me clarify something. I am a writer, not a psychologist. I'm about as qualified to analyze Ruby's psychology as someone who played Surgery Simulator is to perform an actual heart transplant. Nonetheless, I'm going to take a guess at just how she would have responded mentally to the changes brought about by the end of Volume 3. Now is a good time to mention, this contains Volume 3 spoilers, so if you haven't seen Volume 3 yet, why are you here? No, seriously, the first time was a joke, but now I'm really confused. If you haven't seen Volume 3 yet, go watch it! Volume 4 comes out in 3 months. Let's start with what was revealed in the Volume 4 announcement trailer. We see at the start that Ruby appears to be tracking Grimm. What I find interesting about this is that the two Nevermore fly over her without a second thought. This probably means that they didn't sense her. We learned early in Volume 1 that Grimm detect humans and fondness if they have negative feelings. The fact that they don't notice Ruby as they fly by seems to indicate that she has neutralized, if not eliminated, all her negative emotions and thoughts. Whether or not this is a permanent mindset or something she can do while hunting for Grimm remains to be seen. On its own, this doesn't seem too significant. However, this is Ruby we're talking about. For her to completely neutralize any of her emotions shows that she has become more disciplined and, in a sense, more mature. Now, let's look at the fight scene that ensues shortly thereafter. Maybe it's just me, but Ruby seems to be a lot faster than she used to be. I know her semblance is speed, but I'm referring to the speed in which she wields Crescent Rose. Her attack seems swifter and more precise. We also see that she is immediately using Crescent Rose in its melee form. It isn't unheard of for her to fight Grimm with her weapon in this form, but to start out doing it seems like a change in her approach. It could be that she found better success with dispatching Grimm more quickly with scythe form as opposed to rifle form. Either way, she seems more accustomed to fighting with Crescent Rose and combating Grimm than she did before. Until this thing, which I'm gonna call the Grimmarilla for the time being, shows up and turns the tables for a second. But what the Grimmarilla is and what it means for Grimm in general is another discussion for another time. Now let's go back to the end of Volume 3. Specifically, let's look at who died and what things looked like for Ruby and everyone else we see who is immediately relevant to this analysis. First off, Penny. I know this isn't an easy topic to bring up, believe me, I kinda like nuts and bolts, but I swear not to make any puns. Let's think closely about what Penny represented in the story. Compared to everyone else, she has very little in terms of a dark history. She seems, well, mostly perfect. At first, as far as morality and characteristics go. She's kind, caring, and wants to avoid creating conflict or getting people in trouble. She can't even lie without giving a tell.
What girl? I've been by myself all day.
Knowing this, we can say that Penny is the most innocent character in the show, which means she represents something very critical in the writing world. You see, when characters like this show up in books or shows or movies, 99% of the time it's done intentionally. A character like this is usually fated to die or get lost or something of that nature. Basically, they will somehow be removed from the timeline of the show. Why? Because they represent what writers like to call the loss of innocence. This makes sense both in the show and based on the Volume 4 trailer. If we look at how Ruby has been throughout the series, we can tell that she is very much still childlike and somewhat innocent in how she acts and goes about her day-to-day routine and how she responds to danger, missions, and general shenanigans. It isn't until Penny dies that we see something change in her. Pay attention. After that moment, she doesn't smile again for the rest of the volume. She is either sad, focused on battle, or in so much shock and horror that it causes a who knows what grim equivalent of a nuke to fire out from her. In the trailer, she's dead serious the entire time. That childlike carefree approach to fighting is completely gone. Her innocence has died, and her time as a child has closed. After that, we have the deaths of Roman and Pyrrha. Now, one of these is way more significant than the other, but I think they may represent the same thing. See, I believe these two deaths were a sign that no one in the story is safe. The death of Roman demonstrated that even the bad guys could go at any time. Even if they were on the same side as the forces working with them, they are still forces of evil. This is especially true in the case of the Grimm, who are almost mindless and only follow their instinct. They don't care who you are food.
As for me, I'll do what I do best. Lie, steal, cheat, and survive!
When Pyrrha died, it showed us that literally no one could be safe. She was arguably the strongest of all the heroes thus far, at least in terms of students. When she fell, it showed that for our heroes to keep up, they need to have become even stronger than they currently are, and even stronger than the strongest one among them. So what does all of this tell us? Well, it leads me to believe that Ruby would be changed in a number of ways. First of all, Penny's death may have caused her to become more aware of the danger around her and not view things in a positive light all of the time. We see this by her attitude in the trailer. The deaths of Roman and Pyrrha might have an even more dramatic effect. Learning that everyone is mortal and could die at any moment could lead Ruby to become slightly antisocial, not wanting to bond with anyone new should the same fate befall them. She is already stuck with the few she already knows, but if anyone new comes into the picture, she may not be as friendly with them as she was with everyone else. Speaking of those she already knows, at the end of Volume 3, we see Ruby leaving with what remains of Team Juniper, Nora, Ren, and John. You know, before the nightmare fuel incarnate shows up.
This is the beginning of the end, Ozpin. And I can't wait to watch you burn.
Between this and the hint that she is still traveling with these three when Volume 4 starts leads me to believe that what fans have named Team Ranger has formed. But there is a difference here. I don't think Ruby or John would be leading this team. Why John wouldn't be in charge is a topic for another time, but for now, here's why I don't think Ruby would take up the role. As Volume 3 drew to a close, everything Ruby knew fell apart. Her team was divided, those she cared about died or were seriously hurt, and let's face it, aside from killing a few Grimms, she didn't accomplish very much. Aside from going full Medusa on Kevin, and she doesn't even realize she did it. Her family tells her it happened, but odds are she hasn't actually seen the leaning statue of Kevin. Furthermore, she only did this because of her Silver Eye ability, which she doesn't know how to use and, by extension, doesn't see herself as powerful enough to do it again. All of that leads me to believe that she wouldn't feel worthy or strong enough to lead a team again. Whether or not the arc of Volume 4 will lead to her regaining her confidence to do so again, time will tell. But that is my analysis of what Ruby will be like in Volume 4, a wizened, colder Ruby who wants to care for others but simply can't open herself up like that again without the confidence to lead her team. Well, that's enough crazy stuff for now. Tell me in the comments below what you thought of my madness and if there's anyone else you want me to analyze. Otherwise, I'll try to release a new Ruby-related video every week, so look forward to that. And until then, run wild, my friends. See ya!